In the realm of the gaming world, where pixels danced and characters thrived, there existed a sensation known as Girls' Core game, so captivating that millions flocked to its virtual embrace. With its tantalizing gacha system and a plethora of female characters to train and cherish, it ensnared the hearts of players far and wide. Among these players was our protagonist, Okura, once a renowned spender in the game's universe, now residing in the cluttered confines of his humble apartment. One fateful day, amidst the whirlwind of digital excitement, a new character by the name of Luna graced the game's roster. However, fortune had not been kind to Okura, as his coffers were nearly depleted, and the odds of obtaining Luna were slim at best. Undeterred by the specter of financial scarcity, Okura resolved to take a chance, wielding his credit card like a beacon of hope. With bated breath, he completed the transaction, pouring forth his earnest desires into the virtual abyss. To his astonishment, the screen erupted in a cascade of boxes, each one promising untold riches. And lo, amidst this chaotic symphony, emerged an ultra-rare box, harbinger of fate's capricious whims. And with trembling hands, Okura beheld the contents, a cryptic invitation to another world, nestled within its depths. Yet, as excitement gave way to sober contemplation, Okura realized the precarious nature of gacha games, where randomness reigned supreme. Though initially tempted to dismiss the invitation as a mere digital anomaly, Okura's curiosity proved insatiable. Consulting the annals of the game's wiki page yielded no answers, leaving him to ponder the enigmatic nature of his newfound prize. Thus, with trepidation mingled with intrigue, Okura succumbed to the allure of the unknown and invoked the invitation's power. In the blink of an eye, reality shifted, and Okura found himself thrust into a verdant expanse, the scent of grass and earth permeating the air. Pinching himself in disbelief, he grappled with the surreal realization that this was no dream, but a tangible, albeit bewildering, reality. Determined to navigate this uncharted territory, Okura sought refuge amidst the wilderness, wary of the untamed beasts that lurked in the shadows. Yet, as fate would have it, a chance encounter with a curious goblin shattered the fragile semblance of tranquility. Pursued by the diminutive creature, Okura's instincts kicked into overdrive, propelling him towards the safety of a looming tree. Clinging to its branches, he watched in trepidation as the goblin's malevolent gaze bore down upon him, a silent harbinger of impending peril. In the midst of this tumultuous ordeal, Okura's gaze fell upon his trusty companion, the omnipresent conduit to his digital realm. But, to his dismay, the familiar trappings of his former life had been stripped away, leaving behind naught but the stark insignia of a reset journey. Frustration and anger threatened to consume him, yet Okura's resolve remained unbroken as he sought solace in the art of meditation, a refuge amidst the tempest of uncertainty. Amidst the chaos of his thoughts, a glimmer of hope emerged, a tantalizing offer beckoning from the depths of the digital ether. With the promise of untold treasures, Okura seized upon this opportunity, delving once more into the realm of chance and possibility. And lo, amidst the whirlwind of anticipation, he unearthed a relic of unimaginable power, the Book of Languages, a key to unlocking the mysteries of this newfound world. With each page turned, Okura felt the tendrils of understanding unfurling within his mind, bridging the chasm between worlds with newfound clarity. Yet the true extent of his power remained veiled in uncertainty, prompting him to test the boundaries of this newfound reality. Summoning forth a spectral ally from the depths of the digital abyss, Okura watched in awe as the boundaries between virtuality and reality blurred, giving rise to a formidable companion, the stalwart knight, Feia. Together, they embarked upon a journey fraught with peril and possibility, navigating the treacherous terrain of this foreign realm with steadfast determination. Yet, as the weight of their journey bore down upon them, Okura found himself ensnared by the shackles of fatigue, burdened by the weight of his cumbersome armor. In the quiet lull of the night, as the embers of their campfire danced amidst the shadows, Okura and Nor found solace in the camaraderie forged amidst adversity. And amidst the symphony of crackling flames and whispered murmurs, they pondered the road ahead, united in purpose and bound by the threads of fate. As they roamed the streets, peddling their loot and relishing in the delights of street food, Okura couldn't help but notice Nor's joy. Despite their surplus funds, Okura's mind lingered on acquiring magic stones for their gacha game, a seemingly elusive task in this world. Frustration grew as Okura continuously pressed the roll button to no avail. Eventually, they found themselves at an inn, only to be surprised by the steep nightly rates for separate rooms. Uncomfortable with the idea of sharing a room, Okura insisted on 2 separate accommodations. However, Noel's willingness to share a room caught him off guard, stirring unexpected feelings within him. As they settled in, Okura couldn't help but compare their stats, realizing Noel's superiority not just in stats but also in equipment. Despite his desire for better gear, Okura fretted over his smartphone's battery life, only to be reassured by Noel's explanation of its magical essence charging. Their conversation veered towards returning to Earth or acquiring magic stones, but Noel's lack of answers left Okura frustrated. Retreating to bed, Okura reminded Noel of her need for a bath, a moment where she revealed her face for the first time, though still cautious. The next day, they enrolled as adventurers and embarked on a mission to defeat goblins and orcs. Amidst the battle, they encountered a rare orc, dispatching it with surprising ease. Okura's phone vibrated, signaling the acquisition of a magic stone, sparking newfound determination to collect more. Their adventures continued, leading them to undertake an escort mission through the perilous Astros forest. Despite warnings of danger, Okura eagerly accepted, armed with gacha items and Noel's capable presence. Encountering a single-horned Cyclops, Okura's confidence wavered momentarily, but with Noel by his side, he stood firm, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Despite the challenges, Okura's determination shone through as he encouraged Noel to give it a try, flashing a confident smile. Noel, in turn, shared her idea, and the two swiftly dashed toward the menacing monster. Okura's off-branded shoes granted him a remarkable 60% boost in speed, while Noel cautioned him against excessive excitement. As the Cyclops launched its attack, it narrowly missed, allowing Noel to land smoothly and assume a defensive stance. Activating a skill called Inspiration, Noel's stats doubled for a minute, significantly boosting her strength. With the Cyclops faltering, Okura anticipated victory with one final blow, only to find the monster still standing. Realizing the Cyclops was still a threat, Okura dashed forward, swiftly stabbing its leg. The beast howled in agony until it finally succumbed. Celebrations ensued, but their joy was short-lived as the Cyclops began toppling toward Okura. In the nick of time, Noel swooped in to rescue him, her heroic act revealing her face beneath the helmet. Okura, struck by her beauty, stammered his thanks, but Noel, embarrassed by the exposure, hurriedly retreated, warning him not to stare. Later, Okura discovered Noel's helmet and respectfully replaced it, though the encounter left Noel feeling flustered. As they regrouped, Okura noticed Noel's discomfort and apologized, showing concern for her well-being. Noel, touched by his consideration, explained her unease with revealing her face, finding solace in Okura's non-judgmental demeanor. Their journey continued, albeit with less excitement, until they reached Rubber Village, completing their quest. However, a sudden notification prompted Okura's silence, leading to a strategic meeting where he revealed a doubled summon rate campaign for Yura units. Despite initial disappointment, Okura saw it as an opportunity to obtain better units, outlining a plan to collect magic stones daily. Together, Okura and Noel embarked on a new strategy, exploring different areas to maximize their efficiency. Despite Noel's initial hesitance, Okura's determination and promise to consider her wishes persuaded her to continue. As they worked tirelessly, their bond strengthened, paving the way for success in their quest. On the 3rd and 4th days, she persisted in felling them. By the 5th day, fatigue had already set in, her palate weary of their costly flesh, despite her culinary enthusiasm. On the 6th day, Noel ventured out with a serene yet ominous grin, a predator on the prowl. Cheerfully, on the 7th day, she sought out another orc, carving it into pieces with practiced precision. Looking at Okura, she declared her unwavering determination to eradicate orcs from the world without hesitation. But on the 8th day, Noel's senses began to betray her as she mistook a portly human for an orc, consumed by her quest for search and destroy. It took Okura's intervention to snap her out of it, dragging her back to their inn where he tucked her into bed, realizing the toll the relentless orc hunting had taken on her. The next morning, Okura prepared himself to gather magic stones alone, though Noel insisted on accompanying him for safety reasons. Despite Okura's desire to work solo, Noel remained steadfast by his side. In the depths of the forest, fear began to gnaw at Okura's resolve until a black orc materialized behind him. With trembling hands, he wielded Excalibur, their hunt continuing until the final day when Noel emerged victorious before the exhausted Okura. Their shared smiles celebrated the bounty of over 500 magic stones collected. Yet, Okura's excitement turned to frustration as his gacha pulls yielded underwhelming results. Despite Noel's encouragement, disappointment loomed large until a twist of fate saw her pulling a coveted unit, Estelle. With newfound hope, Okura and Noel embarked on a summoning ritual in the nearby forest, welcoming Estelle into their midst. Despite initial apprehension, Estelle's playful demeanor dissolved any doubts as they returned to the inn, ready to face whatever adventures awaited them, together. After meticulously inspecting the gacha items, Okura found himself reviewing Estelle's stats. Impressed by her prowess as a magician, he couldn't help but notice her measurements, a detail he tried to brush aside. Despite his attempt to play it cool, Estelle, curious about his focus, approached him. Okura awkwardly explained that he was merely checking out new items, but Estelle persisted, playfully teasing him until he felt flustered. As Estelle continued her playful antics, she casually inquired if he had any complaints, further adding to Okura's anxiety. Suddenly, Noel joined in, eager to tease Okura for not assisting her earlier when Estelle was dressing her up. Okura's screams echoed through the night as the two girls playfully teased him. The following morning, Estelle, curious about their destination, probed Okura, who, feeling exhausted, couldn't provide an immediate answer. Managing to capture his attention, Estelle prompted Okura to explain they were heading to the Adventurers Guild to register her. As they arrived, other adventurers noticed them, sparking conversations that left Okura puzzled. Approaching the receptionist to start Estelle's registration, they encountered surprise when the receptionist noticed Estelle's magical abilities, remarking on the rarity of magicians in their midst. Estelle's different rank plate drew attention, and Okura proudly explained their E-rank status while Estelle remained at G rank, leading to a playful exchange with the receptionist. Disheartened, Estelle felt left out, prompting sympathetic stares from those around. Okura tried to cheer her up, assuring her she could reach the same rank soon. To speed up her promotion, Estelle decided to take on more tasks, expressing determination to overcome any obstacle. This bold approach startled both Okura and Noel. On a quest, Estelle noticed Okura's new armor acquired from earlier roles but found it too conspicuous. Okura also obtained an SR monitor glass that could check other stats, including the girls' sizes, arousing curiosity about using magic. Suddenly, monsters appeared, and Estelle volunteered to demonstrate her magic. With ease, she unleashed a spell, initially puzzling Okura until they witnessed its devastating effects. Shocked and trembling, Okura and Noel watched as Estelle effortlessly dispatched the monsters. Estelle explained the potency of magic, leaving Okura in awe of its power. Reflecting on their journey, Okura realized that with Noel and Estelle by his side, he could thrive in this new world. Back at the Adventurers Guild, Estelle received her F-rank nameplate, eager to take on more quests. However, Okura suggested waiting for another time, revealing his plan to travel to Sting, the royal capital, where rumors of a mysterious cave filled with rare monsters and treasures piqued his interest. At the general store, Okura overheard more rumors, fueling their excitement for the journey ahead. Fast forward to the present, Okura explained the concept of dungeons to the girls, igniting their eagerness to explore and discover treasures, cute clothes, and delicious food. Despite their divergent goals, the group unanimously decided to make their way to the capital. Upon arriving at the boarding station for carriages heading to Sting, Okura had one prepared, although they had to share it with others. Leaving Bruna behind, their journey was slated to last 10 days, traversing various villages. After a few days, Estelle began voicing her boredom, prompting Okura to suggest playing a game. However, Estelle's concern shifted to Noel, who was battling car sickness. Noel expressed a desire to return home, but Okura reminisced about Noel's initial excitement for the journey. Estelle proposed a solution allowing Noel to vomit to alleviate her discomfort. Despite initial hesitation due to societal norms, Noel nearly vomited on Okura, prompting panic. Okura implored Estelle for a spell to relieve nausea, though its effectiveness was uncertain. Smoke enveloped Noel as Estelle cast the spell, followed by a sleeping spell to calm her down. Amidst the commotion, a level 40 Minotaur appeared, prompting concern for the group's safety. While Okura reassured Estelle, he pondered Noel's condition and sought a remedy from a panacea. After administering it, Noel awakened, joining the fight at Okura's instruction. With Estelle's support magic enhancing Noel's abilities, the group confronted the Minotaur, with Estelle showcasing surprising magical prowess. Days after the Minotaur encounter, the group reached the royal capital of Sting. Okura aimed to head straight to the Adventure Association, but Noel's health deteriorated. Despite her insistence on continuing, Noel's nausea resurfaced, prompting Okura to offer a potion. Estelle observed Okura's caring nature, a side of him that elicited a smile. At the Adventure Association, Estelle's status as a magician garnered attention, with the receptionist processing their registration promptly. EB-ranked party leader named Diaz approached Estelle, inviting her to join his team. Okura intervened, asserting his claim over Estelle, but Diaz persisted, questioning Okura's suitability as an adventurer. Tensions rose as Diaz proposed a duel between himself and Okura, with Estelle as the prize. Despite Estelle's attempts to agree, Okura intervened, apologizing and suggesting a monetary bet instead. To everyone's surprise, Okura revealed 1,000,000 gills, leading to a duel agreement. Outside, Estelle apologized to Okura, but he reassured her, urging her not to ruin her lovely face. Despite feeling touched, Estelle teased Okura, calling him unoriginal, yet surprised by his actions. Okura's irritation simmered beneath his facade of calm as he corrected Okura, insisting that he was indeed infuriated. He asserted that he had already scrutinized D's status and boasted that he could surpass him in stats if only he had the proper equipment. Okura was adamant that he wouldn't suffer defeat as long as he had Noel and Estelle by his side, his confidence unwavering as he anticipated the upcoming duel. The revelation of the arena where the duel would unfold left Okura stunned. It was to be a grand spectacle, with thousands of eyes watching their confrontation. Suddenly, Diaz appeared, offering a backhanded compliment to Okura for not fleeing. Despite Diaz's continuous warnings not to disgrace himself, he found himself on the receiving end of a punch, followed by the arrival of a woman who rebuked Diaz for his selfishness. Other adventurers rallied behind her, with the woman who struck Diaz eventually apologizing for the chaos their leader had incited. Okura pieced together that they were all members of Diaz's group, realizing Diaz's claim about rescuing Estelle from his supposed deceit. Muru, the woman who had punched Diaz, laid blame on him, leading to a tense exchange. Okura grasped the situation. They didn't believe he stood a chance in the duel. As tensions flared, Diaz noticed a ring on Estelle's finger, igniting a further misunderstanding about their relationship. Despite Diaz's apology and pledge to fight seriously, Okura found himself bewildered by the unfolding drama. Later, as they observed the arena, Okura's nerves mounted upon seeing the renowned Diaz's group cheered on by the crowd. A challenging battle against a C-ranked ogre ensued, with Okura and his companions surprised by the unconventional nature of the duel. Despite Diaz's flashy victory, Estelle found the display lackluster, noting their opponent's weak attack power. As their own turn approached, Okura and his companions received a boost in confidence from their new equipment. With strategic coordination, they swiftly dispatched the ogre, leaving the audience in stunned silence. Diaz's team begrudgingly handed over the reward, finally acknowledging Estelle's truthfulness. The event concluded with forced pleasantries, though Okura sensed the lingering animosity behind Diaz's smile. As they parted ways, Okura couldn't shake the feeling of tension in the air. The following day, Okura and the girls resumed their duties, with Estelle earning a well-deserved promotion. Reflecting on recent events, Okura acknowledged his neglect of something crucial akin to a gacha. With determination in his eyes, he announced his intent to embark on the Magic Stone gathering, prompting Noel's abrupt departure and leaving Estelle perplexed. As Okura stood resolute, Noel couldn't help but be surprised by his sudden determination, wondering how he had appeared so swiftly. Anticipating the need for swift coordination, they relied on a device called the beacon, capable of instantaneously teleporting to their companions. With determination, he seized Noel while sporting a power bracelet. Estelle, puzzled, questioned Noel's reluctance towards the magic stone gathering. Okura reminded Noel of the unpredictability of future campaigns, emphasizing the importance of avoiding tight deadlines like they faced before. He argued for multitasking, proposing they tackle 3 tasks simultaneously. Estelle, swayed by Yura's reasoning, sided with him. Despite Noel's attempts to counter, Okura insisted on starting the next day. He enlisted Estelle's help in lulling Noel to sleep, who soon succumbed to a deep slumber. Observing Noel's troubled state, Estelle witnessed Okura reassuring her that this time would be smoother. He outlined their need to hunt 600 monsters daily to gather 25 magic stones. Estelle, maintaining her composure, surprised Okura by pushing him down for a casual chat while atop him, causing Okura to let out a startled scream that echoed through the night. The following morning, Okura repeatedly apologized to Noel, seeking her forgiveness, which she was reluctant to grant. Estelle apologized for inducing sleep upon her, swiftly earning Noel's forgiveness. Despite Yura's objections, Noel persisted in holding Okura responsible for their predicament. She sighed, expressing resignation to confronting the situation. Estelle reassured her, mentioning her conversation with Okura. Subsequently, Okura apologized to Noel, impressing her with Estelle's calming influence. To commence their hunt, Okura unveiled an SSR item, the magic carpet for transportation, eliciting admiration from the girls. Although Estelle harbored concerns about Okura's piloting skills, he asserted his competence, citing his driver's license. With the group aboard, they soared off to hunt monsters in the depths of the northern cave. Later, Noel attracted a horde of monsters, with Okura assuring her of their adequacy. He then urged Estelle to unleash her magical attack, vanquishing the monsters in one fell swoop. Okura marveled at the effectiveness of group attacks against the formidable scorpion monsters. However, he cautioned about their poisonous nature. With Noel equipped to neutralize poison, she assumed the role of drawing the monsters to her while the group defeated them collectively. As they departed the northern cave and ventured into a western forest teeming with menacing creatures, they decided to explore alternative hunting grounds due to the monsters' resilient defenses. Moving to an eastern hunting area proved futile, prompting them to seek another spot. Noel confided in Okura, expressing her willingness to manage the monsters alone to alleviate any burdens she might impose. Touched by her sincerity, Okura reassured her and encouraged open communication. Curious about Estelle's influence on Okura, Noel inquired, but Estelle playfully evaded the question, leaving Okura unsettled once more. Amidst their relentless pursuit of monsters for magic stones, Estelle grew weary, prompting Yura's attention. Despite their fatigue, Okura remained focused, buoyed by their successful collection of magic stones. A new Gacha campaign announcement injected excitement into their evening, with Okura eagerly announcing the 3rd round of the festival. However, Noel remained apprehensive, and Estelle shared her concerns about Okura's luck. Despite his initial intention to limit himself to 5 rolls, Okura relented, allowing Noel and Estelle 2 rolls each. As Noel celebrated her unexpected success with 2 SSR items in her first pull, Estelle followed suit with her own exhilarating acquisition. Okura, despite his doubts, persevered with the belief in his fortune as the chosen one, ultimately reaping his own rewards. As the gacha pull commenced, a special rainbow box shimmered, promising a guaranteed item. Okura grinned confidently, nonchalantly stating that such a result was to be expected. However, the girl accompanying him sensed a hidden excitement in Okura's demeanor. Okura hesitated upon checking the contents of the box, and the girl, named Estelle, grew curious about his reaction. It turned out to be Noel's weapon, but it was a duplicate. Noel appeared puzzled, and Okura shot her a glare. Despite advice not to blame Noel, Okura insisted he hadn't uttered a word yet. Frustrated, Okura glared at his phone, prompting the girls to intervene. They stood on either side of him, holding him back, reminding him of his resolution to only perform 5 pulls. Despite Okura's protests, the girls, aware of his gacha addiction, refused to let go. Noel suggested pulling together, but Okura argued that the momentum was already in motion. He pleaded and begged, imploring the girls to allow him to pull the gacha. After a moment of stunned silence, they reluctantly acquiesced, witnessing Okura's desperation. Relieved, Okura eagerly seized his phone, and the three pulled the gacha roll together. Shortly after, Okura obtained the Holy Scale Cape AU item capable of eliminating all negative statuses. He expressed joy at acquiring it, while the girls could only sigh, observing their master's determined triumph. Estelle gazed at Okura, and eventually, the trio retired to bed. In the middle of the night, Okura suddenly awoke to find Estelle snuggled beside him. Puzzled, he questioned her, and Estelle confessed her longing to sleep alongside him due to feeling lonely. Okura attempted to call Noel for assistance, but Estelle caught him and scolded him, labeling him a bad brother. Despite Okura's protests, Estelle expressed her sadness, simply desiring to sleep together with him for the night. Surprisingly, Okura agreed, and just as they reached a consensus, Noel woke up, curious about the commotion. Both Okura and Estelle panicked, attempting to explain the situation to Noel. Noel, however, simply took Estelle back to their bed and used her as a body pillow. Disappointed, Estelle lamented, feeling as though she was just getting to the good part of the night. The following morning, Okura declared they would take a break from their relentless monster hunting. The girls exchanged glances, and Noel admitted uncertainty about what to do on their day off. Okura suggested they go shopping, and even provided them with money. Noel was surprised by Okura's generosity, and as they ventured outside, Okura reminded them not to squander the money. He instructed them to enjoy themselves while he attended to an appointment with Dees, leaving Noel in Estelle's care. As they explored the city, Estelle guided Noel to a clothing store, suggesting they spruce up Noel's wardrobe. After trying on various outfits, Noel hesitated to remove her eye mask, feeling self-conscious. Estelle encouraged her to reveal her face, and upon doing so, Noel felt embarrassed yet vulnerable. As they continued shopping, Noel suddenly sensed something and pulled Estelle away, leading them to a pastry shop where they indulged in cakes. Despite Noel's reluctance to remove her eye mask permanently, Estelle found her adorable, even with it on. Meanwhile, Okura's E-rank party received an offer to advance their ranks after triumphing over Dees' group and successfully hunting numerous stingers. Okura, puzzled by the offer, questioned the receptionist about potential issues, signaling further adventures ahead. The association leader expressed reluctance to host the party at the E-rank status, while the girls eagerly anticipated their promotion. Okura informed the receptionist that they were prepared to undertake the promotion quest. Knowing that the minimum rank for dungeon entry was C, Okura encouraged the girls to swiftly achieve C rank. The trio embarked on a quest to vanquish frogmen. Upon reaching the swamp, Noel noticed something protruding from the water, finding it cute, though Okura reminded her to remain focused. While Estelle also found the creatures adorable, Okura perceived them as creepy. Consulting his phone, Okura discovered the tadpoles were weak. Unsure of their next move without venturing into the water, Estelle proposed freezing the swamp, but Okura knew it wouldn't lure the monsters out. Choosing to abandon the loot, Okura instructed Estelle to attack the area. With pride, Estelle unleashed a spell resembling a meteor shower, obliterating the tadpoles, empowered by a spellbook boosting fire spells to 100%. However, they realized their interference might disrupt the ecosystem. Suddenly, something sparkled in the swamp, and a frogman emerged. Okura found it repulsive, and Noel concurred. Estelle suggested employing her magic, but Okura advised patience. Despite Estelle's attempts, the agile frogman eluded her attacks, taunting her with its maneuvers. Growing frustrated, Estelle requested it to cease moving and contemplated blasting the area. Okura intervened, proposing a new strategy. As the frogmen relaxed in the water, observing them, they deliberated their plan. Recall that Estelle had previously provoked the frogman, prompting it to leap out of the water, allowing Okura to freeze the swamp with Noel's help. Confused, the frogman found itself vulnerable in mid-air, allowing Okura and Noel to attack. Despite the creature's evasion tactics, they persisted. Suddenly, the frogman released a noxious gas, causing discomfort. Seizing the opportunity to flee, the frogman was halted by Okura's determination. He successfully incapacitated it with Excalibur, instructing Noel to deliver the finishing blow. Understanding the requirements, the team completed their promotion quest to reach D rank successfully. Okura instructed them to return promptly to initiate the C rank promotion quest the next day. In a specific ruin, they encountered a minotaur, which they easily dispatched, marking the completion of their C rank promotion quest. However, their victory was short-lived as they encountered an unusual minotaur known as an Astros, possessing high attack power and lightning skills. Despite Okura's warnings, they engaged the monster. In the heat of battle, Okura was shocked by his own weapon and incapacitated. Noel bravely shielded the group, while Estelle retreated. Recovering, Noel joined forces with Okura to battle the Astros, exploiting its weaknesses. Okura's explosive tactics weakened the Astros, but not without consequences. The monster retaliated, striking Okura and burying him under rubble. Noel faced a dilemma: aid Okura or protect Estelle. Eventually, Estelle convinced Noel to prioritize her safety. After rescuing Okura and administering a healing potion, they realized they were still in dire straits. Without a word, she simply gestured towards Estelle, whose eyes widened as she began chanting a powerful magic attack reminiscent of scenes from Dragon Ball Z. A colossal monster lay restrained on the ground, and Okura couldn't help but wonder what was unfolding before him. As he observed Estelle with her purplish aura and cold, emotionless demeanor, it struck Okura that she was employing her unique abilities. With a chilling expression, Estelle unleashed her magic towards the monster, utilizing her exclusive skill, Magic Boost, which amplified her attack's potency by 50% while debuffing the target's strength by the same margin. Even a formidable creature like the Astros couldn't withstand such an onslaught, vanishing into oblivion as the attack connected, leaving behind nothing but a mushroom cloud that blanketed the hunting ground in silence. Estelle approached Okura with an authoritative air, cautioning him against causing any further worry. In that moment, Okura pledged silently to avoid provoking her again. The party then made their way back to the capital, where Okura offered another apology to Estelle, who still seemed affected by the exertion of her skill. As expected, Okura suggested they proceed to their lodging while he reported to the Adventurers Association. Later that night, upon returning to their inn, Okura found Noel engrossed in playing with some dolls. Her demeanor shifted drastically upon noticing Okura's arrival, scolding him sharply for his return. Despite Okura's reprimand for her removal of the eye mask, Noel insisted on her need to do so, asserting proudly that she had been training with Estelle and giving her best effort. Okura sought out Estelle, but Noel informed him she was bathing. Displaying the plushies they had purchased, Noel's smile managed to both embarrass and warm Okura's heart. He offered more dolls from a game, which delighted Noel, leading her to hug him from behind and express her affection. Okura, feeling overwhelmed, gently pushed her away, causing Noel's mood to sour momentarily. However, seeing Noel's joy while embracing the dolls softened Okura's perspective. Still, he couldn't quite grasp Noel's preferences. Suddenly, Noel began trembling, signaling her approaching limit. Hastily, she replaced her eye mask, finding relief almost instantly. Sting's dungeon, known as Heigo Dungeon, proved to be an unusual yet formidable challenge, housing monsters of great strength and rare treasures. After advancing to rank C, Okura's party embarked on their quest to conquer this daunting labyrinth. Upon entering the first floor, they were greeted by surprisingly bright interiors, illuminated by mana-emitting walls, as explained by Estelle. Their confidence was soon tested when a slime monster appeared, catching Okura off guard with its unexpected acid attack. Noel swiftly intervened, emphasizing the danger posed by the creature, while Estelle, having read the provided documents, urged caution. Okura, however, remained confident, insisting he had the situation under control, despite Estelle's disapproving gaze. As they progressed through the dungeon's floors, encountering various types of slimes, from venomous to explosive, tensions rose. Estelle's magic inadvertently triggered a chain reaction of explosions on the 9th floor, prompting a frantic retreat. Anticipation mounted as they ascended to the 10th floor, only to find themselves confronted not by monsters, but by a peculiar contraption bearing an arrow. Though Okura initially suspected a dead end, Estelle's recollection led them to spin the arrow, unveiling a series of challenges and surprises. Noel, brimming with excitement, eagerly pressed switches and spun arrows. leading the group through a maze of rooms and encounters. However, their journey took an unexpected turn when a deafening noise signaled their entrapment. Estelle urged vigilance as the mana in the air thickened, culminating in a blinding flash of light that transported them back to the dungeon entrance. On the 10th floor, the girls found themselves at a crossroads, realizing that taking the wrong path would mean backtracking all the way to the beginning. Kokura, their leader, instructed them to start over, and thus began their repetitive cycle of spinning the roulette, facing monsters, finding items, only to return to square one. Exhaustion set in as they restarted this process a staggering 40 times. Amidst their frustration, Okura directed their attention forward, where they spotted a grand door adorned with intricate decorations. Finally, they reached the boss room, determined to confront the looming challenge that awaited them. However, their irritation from the maze ordeal lingered as they prepared to face the boss with all their might. Okura recalled the formidable slimes they encountered earlier and realized the importance of having a strong party. Estelle explained the necessity of having at least a B-rank party to stand a chance against the anticipated strength of the boss. Opening the massive door to check the boss's status revealed an enormous slime, dwarfing even Eros in strength. Sensing the girls' exhaustion and realizing the daunting challenge ahead, Okura made the difficult decision to retreat, prioritizing their safety over bravado. Despite their equipment being top-notch, Okura recognized the need for a new party member, specifically a priest who could provide remote healing. The prospect of relying on gacha rolls for such a specific outcome seemed daunting to Okura, prompting hesitance from him. Estelle suggested waiting for a campaign event to increase their chances, while Ura cautioned about the potential pitfalls of relying too heavily on chance. Kokura, after a moment of contemplation, advised against pulling any gacha before such an event, emphasizing the importance of strategy over impulsivity. In a moment of collective decision, the girls chose to depart together, leaving behind their gacha-addicted master. Feeling embarrassed by his earlier behavior, Okura sought Noel's assistance, recognizing the need to improve his close-range combat skills. Despite Noel's lack of teaching experience, she agreed to help, motivated by a desire to support her master. They ventured into a dense forest, chosen by Noel as the ideal training ground, where Okura once struggled against formidable foes. As Noel stripped him of his special gacha items, Okura felt a sense of vulnerability and uncertainty. Noel proposed a one-on-one battle against the chief of the Washi warriors, a rare species, to push Okura beyond his comfort zone. Though hesitant at first, Okura engaged in the battle, with Noel guiding him through each encounter, pointing out his mistakes and encouraging improvement. As the training progressed, Okura began to realize the depth of his reliance on Noel and Estelle, fueling his determination to become stronger. However, amidst their training, a nearby commotion diverted their attention. The Washi warriors, usually fearsome adversaries, were now preying on a wounded bunny. Noel, seemingly acting on instinct, swiftly dispatched the monsters, revealing her surprising transformation into the adorable creature. Concerned for the injured bunny, Okura stepped forward, offering a high potion from his gacha items. Despite initial hesitation from the bunny, Noel's gentle reassurance convinced it to accept the healing aid, reaffirming the bond between the girls and their master, even amidst their trials and adventures. Bunny began delicately lapping at the potion, its wounds vanishing miraculously as it fully recovered. Happily, the bunny hopped around Noel, even jumping onto her as if giving her a hug. Okura was pleased with the outcome, attributing it to the effectiveness of the gacha item. As the group attempted to leave, the bunny insisted on following them, having become attached to Noel. Despite Okura's initial reluctance, he eventually gave in to Noel's request to keep the bunny as a pet. Later, at the inn, Noel happily called for Muffet, the bunny they had rescued. Muffet, a Fortuna rabbit rumored to bring blessings, quickly hopped over to Noel. Estelle noticed how fond Noel had grown of the bunny. Okura, however, remained skeptical of the tales surrounding the Fortuna rabbit. Noel then inquired about Okura starting the gacha carnival, though Okura expressed nervousness about his desire for a specific priest unit. Soon after, Okura ended the gacha campaign, ensuring a guaranteed SSR after 33 pulls. With nearly 1,000 magic stones at their disposal, each member of the group could pull from the banner twice. Despite Noel feeling uneasy about the increased pull count, Estelle volunteered to go first. As the gacha addict, Okura found himself overwhelmed with both happiness and anxiety at Estelle's impressive pulls. When it was his turn, Okura hoped for a year-quality gacha result, tapping the screen with anticipation. To his surprise and dismay, he received a duplicate SSR. Noel and Estelle rushed to his side as he struggled to comprehend what had happened, even momentarily ceasing to breathe. Shocked back to consciousness by Estelle's magic, Okura realized the gravity of his gacha addiction. Determined to change his luck, Okura placed his hopes on Noel for the next pull. Despite her nerves, Noel managed to pull an SSR, though Okura's disappointment was evident. With one last chance, Okura reluctantly agreed to let Moffat, the lucky rabbit, do the final pull. Much to everyone's surprise, Moffat tapped the screen, resulting in a dazzling light and the appearance of a Yor unit named Shiwa Alvi, a priest. Okura's disbelief turned to awe as he welcomed Shiwa Alvi, while also feeling a blow to his pride at being outdone by a rabbit in gacha luck. The next morning, they gathered in the forest to summon their new ally, Shiwa Alvi. Despite his initial defeat, Okura felt grateful to Moffat for his unexpected fortune. As Shiwa gracefully appeared, Okura found himself speechless, blushing at her beauty. Though Estelle and Noel noticed his reaction, Okura clumsily attempted to divert their attention. As the group interacted with Shiwa, Okura couldn't help but be impressed by her capabilities in battle. Despite Estelle's disapproval of his behavior, Okura found himself drawn to Shiwa's charm and elegance. In the end, Okura realized that luck may come from unexpected sources, even a humble rabbit named Moffat. However, Okura couldn't help but be further impressed by her physical attributes as his thoughts wandered. He felt an intense gaze from behind and started panicking as Estelle approached. To his surprise, she just walked past him and confronted Shiwa. Instead of addressing Okura's suspicions, Estelle gave Shiwa a stern look and expressed doubts about whether the priestess was hiding something. Shiwa was caught off guard and asked Estelle what she was referring to. Okura and Noel were puzzled, wondering why Estelle was so suspicious, especially after Shisa had just been summoned. Estelle decided to let go of her doubts and mentioned that she noticed Shiwa seemed excited after seeing Okura. Still flustered, Shiwa reassured Estelle that everything was fine. Okura remembered that it was unusual for Estelle to be suspicious, but he didn't think Shiwa was suspicious, especially compared to Noel and Estelle. Okura and the others warmly welcomed Shiwa to the team. Upon hearing this, Shiwa smiled and asked them to take care of her too. That night, Estelle wanted Okura to hurry up so they could all sleep together. Okura took out a sleeping bag, saying he would sleep on the floor. However, Shiwa disagreed, and Noel told him to hurry to the bed with them. Earlier, the team faced problems finding enough room since their group had grown. Okura tried to get separate rooms, but the girls decided to share just one. Later on, Okura expressed concern about a man sharing a bed with a woman. Noel was surprised that Okura was talking about common sense, and they argued as usual. Estelle gave up on the idea of everyone sleeping together, but asked Okura whom he would sleep with since they only had 2 beds. Shiwa worried she wouldn't be chosen since she was recently summoned. Okura wanted to refuse the question, but Estelle insisted. Okura struggled to pick between Estelle, Noel, and Shiwa. Awkwardly, Okura chose Noel, which surprised the female knight. Estelle asked for his reason, and Okura claimed Noel was the least feminine among them. Noel got upset and charged at Okura like a mad woman. The night ended with Okura screaming in pain. The day after, the entire group strolled around, and Shiwa apologized for dragging them along. Estelle and Noel didn't mind, they enjoyed going out and strengthening their friendship. Okura apologized for not preparing any casual clothes for Shiwa, but she didn't mind. Although the girls wanted to lend her clothes, the sizes didn't match, so they decided to buy some clothes for Shiwa. With Noel having a different mode of food, they tried out casual clothes, took photos as keepsakes, munched on street food, and even experienced Moffat being treated like a walking fortune idol. Shiwa had a memorable time. Everyone was amazed at how much attention Moffat garnered. Noel declared that Moffat was a remarkable creature. Suddenly, one of the kids playing in the park fell and cried out. Shiwa swiftly approached, using her healing powers as a priestess. She checked if the kid was still hurt, leaving the kids impressed. She advised them to be more careful next time. Noel and Okura were impressed, but Estelle seemed lost in thought. Okura had instructed the girls to grab lunch while on the way. Shiho expressed her gratitude to Okura for the kindness, saying she felt happy to be valued. A bit flustered, Okura credited the idea to Estelle. He couldn't understand why Estelle would find Shiho suspicious when she seemed genuinely good. Suddenly the group heard loud cheers nearby. Noel and Estelle rushed to find a street challenge a chance to win 100,000 gils with a 5,000 gils entrance fee. The challenge involved defeating a muscular man in an arm wrestling match. Estelle suggested Okura participate, but he declined. Meanwhile, Shiho observed with interest and clenched her fist. She then asked Okura if she could take on the challenge. Okura hesitated, questioning if she was sure. Shiho reassured him, expressing confidence in her strength as a priestess. Everyone began talking loudly when they saw a weak-looking woman challenging a strong man. Estelle was worried about Shiho, but Okura assured her it would be okay if she didn't go too far, like Nora. The two of them got ready to arm wrestle, and the strong man was excited to shake hands with a pretty woman. Shiho asked him to take it easy on her. The referee got them ready and announced the start of the arm wrestling match. The crowd got louder, but nothing was happening. As the referee watched, he asked his partner what was going on. The strong man started twitching while trying his best. Okura was puzzled. The strong man couldn't move his hand at all, and he wondered about Shiho's strength. There was a loud thud from the table, and the strong man looked down. Shiho said she won, and everyone fell into an awkward silence. The referee declared Shiho the winner, leaving Okura confused. Shiho came back with the cash she had just earned. Okura stood there silently, realizing that Shiho seemed stronger than him. He wondered if this was what Estelle had been cautious about. Okura's group had a mission to defeat 10 kobolds, and Shiho was really excited about it. Noel suggested they finish it quickly to boost their ranks. Just then, Okura caught up with them wearing some seriously heavy gear. Noel was impressed that Okura seemed to be getting used to the weight, but Estelle was worried about Okura not taking off his strange helmet. Okura explained that he wore it because he got it from a gacha and it looked plus it provided high defense stats, standing out due to his heavy equipment and strong defense. Okura insisted that the girls let him handle the tank role. It didn't take them long to find some kobolds, and Ura charged ahead, swiftly taking down one of the monsters. When another kobold tried to attack him, the monster's sword simply broke against Okura's heavy armor. Okura then gave the kobold an ominous look, and all that could be heard were cracking noises. While Okura was being healed, he regretted letting a kobold hit him. Noel had told him to dodge attacks even with high defense. After Okura had already taken down 10 kobolds, he suggested they head back. However, Noel advised him to look around first. Suddenly, a group of rare kobold species surrounded them. Okura, knowing they were a source of magic stones, couldn't help but smile. He ordered the girls to wipe out the monsters. As Noel and Estelle were busy dealing with their share of kobolds, Okura stood guard for Shiho. Out of nowhere, one of the monsters launched a surprise attack on Okura, turning his helmet around and causing him to fall to the ground. Panicking, Okura couldn't see anything, and he heard loud thud noises, fearing that Shiho was under attack. Desperate, Estelle glanced at Okura, inquiring whether they had dealt with the kobolds on their side, only to find out they hadn't. Noel mistakenly believed Okura had vanquished the kobolds. Meanwhile, Shua seemed ecstatic, as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Following that, Shua advanced in rank, while Okura diligently honed his skills to become a proficient tank. Several days later, Aura's group ventured into another forest to confront the Washi warriors' chiefs as part of their training regimen. Okura noticed Shua's excitement at facing new adversaries. Initially, Shisa mentioned her enjoyment of combat, but quickly amended it to relishing the thrill of the fight itself. Okura anticipated her shift in perspective. Estelle then suggested eliminating the regular Washi warriors to draw out the chiefs, but Shua proposed she and Okura undertake the task instead. She explained that being surrounded by numerous foes would serve as excellent training for Yura as a tank. Estelle and Noel agreed, supporting their master's goal of Okura becoming a skilled tank. Okura harbored concerns about battling while safeguarding someone as fragile as Shua. He advised her to use him as a shield, but Shua recommended he simply observe the enemy's movements. She acknowledged Yura's ability to react but emphasized anticipating the opponent's next moves. Shihua elucidated the T-patterns of monster movements, encouraging Okura to predict their actions beforehand. Despite feeling uneasy about it, Okura agreed to give his best effort in training. Shihua provided him with strong motivation, suggesting they collaborate to achieve their utmost potential. Observing Yura's resolute stance, it was clear he was determined. He effortlessly dispatched the approaching monsters with Shiza's assistance. Suddenly, the leaders of the Washi warriors emerged, charging at Yura. Our protagonist adeptly blocked attacks from both sides and swiftly countered. One of the Washi warrior chiefs activated Godspeed, tripling its base speed, causing Okura concern. Shihua advised him to stay calm, reassuring him that it essentially moved like a regular Washi warrior. Okura swung his Excalibur, cleaving the Washi warrior chief in half, impressing the onlookers. During a break, Estelle was impressed by Yura's sudden improvement, attributing it to Shua's influence. The girls were confused, questioning whether Shua was truly a priestess. Estelle couldn't fathom a priestess being a better combat instructor than a warrior like Nol. The knight scolded Okura and dragged him to another intense training session. Despite feeling fatigued from battling the Washi warriors, Estelle insisted it was ideal training. Nol suggested hunting Eros instead, surprising Okura. Shua reassured Okura, promising to heal him immediately if anything happened. She confidently claimed she could even regrow lost limbs as long as Okura remained alive. Encouraged by Nol, Okura faced the Eros once more, feeling anxious but determined to overcome his fear. He equipped himself with new items from the Gacha, including an SR sticker to reduce the chance of panic. Although trembling, Okura confronted the massive bull monster as Shua urged him on. As the Astros charged at them, Okura raised his shield to block the attack, realizing its immense strength. Strategically sidestepping, Okura allowed the monster to crash into a boulder, then attacked with Excalibur, but to little effect. The Astros roared in irritation, and Okura braced himself for the ensuing battle, drawing strength from his specialized training. Shihua watched with excitement as Okura faced the Astros. Suddenly, the monster hurled its massive axe, which Okura managed to block. However, this was only a diversion as the Astros swiftly charged toward him. Despite his best efforts, Okura couldn't evade the monster's onslaught, and his helmet flew off in the process. Standing face to face with the menacing Astros, Okura prepared himself for what seemed like an inevitable confrontation. Shihua clenched her fist, filled with determination, while Nol observed intently. As the Astros charged its fist with sparks, aiming to strike Okura, Shizuha intervened just in time, diverting the monster's attention. As the colossal creature hurtled through the air, propelled towards a nearby cliff, the onlookers were struck dumb with astonishment. Shua, however, sprang into action, appearing in front of it in a blink and delivering a swift kick to its chin. The creature began to stagger, attempting to retaliate by striking Shua, but the priestess adeptly dodged and landed a powerful blow on the monster's body. Shua, once known for her calm and delicate demeanor as a gentle healer, now stood before them not as a healer, but as a formidable brawler, casually holding the creature's head as if it were mere laundry. Okura, who had always seen her as a beautiful and frail priestess, couldn't believe his eyes. It dawned on him that he had been ignoring the signs that Shua was far from typical. She apologized for interrupting Okura's special training, admitting she couldn't restrain herself while watching him fight. Estelle appeared, confirming she had suspected Shua was hiding something, and Okura apologized for not realizing it sooner. Suddenly, Shua nervously asked if she could take care of the remaining minotaurs nearby. Okura's worry grew as Shua explained she couldn't suppress her desires any longer. Impressed, Estelle noted that Shua was finally being open about her true feelings. As they returned to their place, Okura advised Nol not to lie down right after eating too much, warning her she might turn into a cow. Nol insisted she wouldn't gain weight, but Okura called her over for a chat. It had been a while since they defeated the creature, and due to the steady collection of magic stones, Shua had already reached C rank. As she served tea for everyone, earning praise from Estelle for her thoughtfulness, Nor wondered what they were going to talk about. Okura then suggested they roll a gacha every day, as they already had a priestess in their group. Nor was confused, but Okura explained the mechanics, and despite Nor's initial reluctance, Okura reminded her it was better to regret doing something than not doing it. As Okura eagerly initiated the gacha, excitement brimming, smoke soon emanated from him, indicating a disappointing outcome. Shua, witnessing the gacha for the first time, became intrigued, despite Nor's attempt to prevent her from following their hopeless master's addiction. Undeterred by his initial failure, Okura revealed a premium ticket and used it, resulting in a surprising outcome that left everyone stunned. But their amusement was short-lived as Nor discovered a strange, yet adorable doll, leading to a playful exchange between her duplicates. Despite Okura's attempts to mediate, the situation escalated when the two Nors transformed into their night forms, resulting in chaos and the inn in ruins. With disappointment evident on his face, Nor wondered what Okura had been imagining. Estelle suggested their party's strength would increase with another Nor, but Okura hesitated, contemplating the balance. Eventually, he declared his preference for the current Nor, dismissing the idea of a duplicate. Shua then revealed that summoning two identical units was impossible but showed that enhancing the current unit was feasible. Amidst Nor's concerns, Okura encouraged her to gain more strength, and as she expressed her eagerness to do so, a peculiar sensation enveloped them, signaling a new phase in their journey. Excited by her newfound strength, Yura's group entered the bustling Stings Adventurers Guild and immediately noticed the unusually lively atmosphere. Among the crowd, they spotted Dee's B-ranked party, whom they recognized. Dee's, as usual, attempted to catch Estelle's attention with a greeting, but she brushed him off, claiming to have forgotten about him. Even Nor, usually amiable, wasn't pleased to see him. Dee's couldn't help but sense the girl's dislike towards him. Shizuha caught Dee's attention, and the priestess politely introduced herself. True to form, Dee's instantly feigned interest and greeted Shizuha as if they were on a blind date. Mekui noticed the inappropriate expression on Dee's face, and the leader justified it by saying he was admiring Shizuha's beauty. While Mekui scolded her, Dee's party members, Sumika and Geos, also introduced themselves. At that moment, Dees noticed someone was missing and wondered where Okura had gone. Suddenly, a fully armored Okura menacingly approached him from behind, startling Dees. Hurrying over to Estelle, Dees shouted in frustration, only to realize it was Okura all along. He wondered about the unusual get-up, and Okura explained he was taking on the role of a tank for their party. However, Dees was concerned that the city guards might mistake him for a suspicious person. Finally understanding what the girls had been saying, Okura took off his helmet. Suddenly, Mekui began to engage in some friendly physical contact with Estelle. When Okura saw Estelle looking cute and a bit embarrassed, he couldn't help but smile as he watched these two women blossoming into friendship. Right at that moment, Gaze approached Okura with a serious expression and asked if he knew his duties as a tank. Okura casually responded that his main job was to endure pain, but this only angered Gaze. It was clear that Okura had no clue about the true responsibilities of a tank. With a confident smile, Go seized Okura and declared that he would teach him the ways of being a tank. Nor was puzzled by the situation, and Dees mentioned that Go's always got excited when the topic of tanks came up. Shiwa found Go's interesting, but Nor argued that Shiwa was even more intriguing. At that moment, a guild employee rushed in, making sure everyone was occupied with their own activities. Okura couldn't help but wonder if the employee had a specific reason for checking on everyone. Later, at the reception, the employee explained that there was an urgent request. She mentioned the dangerous situations called great subjugations happening in different places. To prevent more of these incidents, adventurers were needed to eliminate the monsters responsible. Curious, Okura wondered about the meaning of great subjugations, and Dees clarified that it could involve either an extremely powerful monster or a large group of monsters causing significant harm. The guild employee pointed out that they needed to deal with a large number of kobolds and asked Dees and Yura's party to take on the quest. Okura wondered if it was a tough request given that the guild had assigned it to two parties. The employee then explained that there were unusual occurrences in the Astros area, with monsters appearing that weren't supposed to be there. Okura suddenly remembered encountering a Cyclops in that area. The employee warned them to be cautious. Dees was fine with accepting the quest, and Okura agreed to take it on as well. Outside the city, the two parties walked towards their destination for the quest. Mawashite felt fortunate to be on a quest with her favorite, Estelle. Dees advised her not to get too worked up, but Mawashite was mostly focused on protecting Estelle, as usual. Okura struggled with traveling on foot. Shiwa then approached Gose and asked about the most effective attack he had ever dealt. Gose excitedly started talking, making Sumika worried about the chatterbox. Dees felt a sudden awareness, and Mawashite announced that they had already discovered some of their targets. She decided to demonstrate her abilities. A bunch of kobolds rushed at them, and Mawashite swiftly took out her bow, firing several arrows rapidly at the monsters. Each arrow hit its mark, and the monsters' heads popped off like balloons. Everyone, including Mawashite herself, was surprised by what had just occurred. Dees was curious about Mawashite's attack suddenly looking overpowered, but even the archer herself was confused by the monsters exploding in that way. Estelle and Okura were puzzled by what had just happened. Okura checked his phone and discovered that Dees' party was now recognized as his party members, granting them a special buff. Okura remembered using the title change function, setting Secretary General as his title, boosting all unit stats by 15%. The effect also reached Dees' party. With a sly grin, Okura thought about taking advantage of this to make Noel anxious again. He mentioned that they could earn more magic stones if Deus and the others defeated rare monsters. Yura believed they would get a higher amount of magic stones than usual. Dees questioned what was going on, and Okura stated that they were just discussing how they now had reliable allies. He reached out his hand to Dees for a handshake, and the two agreed to. A few days had passed since leaving Sting, and the combined group finally reached their ultimate destination. Okura's skin prickled with goosebumps as he beheld the stampede of kobolds in the field, a multitude of monsters stretching as far as the eye could see. Mawashite declared the gathering to be larger than usual, with Deus speculating the presence of a core monster among them. A core monster, he explained, emerged when the monster population reached a significant enough size to pose a considerable threat. Okura deduced that their objective was to defeat this core monster, though Deus also stressed the importance of eliminating the normal ones, given their increased numbers. At that moment, Estelle surprised everyone by suggesting the complete annihilation of the entire horde and began chanting a spell. Okura quickly intervened, urging her not to squander her magical energy. Instead, he pointed out the distinctive-looking monsters within the kobold group, suggesting they verify if Deus and the others could obtain magic stone drops from them. Estelle then cast buffs on everyone, astonishing Deus and the others with the increase in their stats. While Mawashite felt grateful for Estelle's support, the mage couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. Okura proposed that he, Noel, and Deus take the lead, a plan to which Deus readily agreed. He cautioned his team not to overexert themselves, and they set off to confront the monsters. Deus and Mawashite swiftly engaged the creatures, marveling at the potency of Estelle's support magic. Meanwhile, Noel and Okura handled the monsters with ease, their prowess leaving Dees once again astounded by Yura's party's capabilities. Observing from the sidelines, Okura checked his phone, only to widen his eyes in surprise when he noticed the magic stone count wasn't increasing. He wondered if there were specific conditions they needed to fulfill. Just then, Deus called for Okura's attention, pointing out the emergence of a Cobalt Lord with reinforcements. Okura grumbled at the sight of the newly arrived monsters, twice the number of those they had just defeated. Deus agreed, suggesting the presence of a core monster among them. Mawashite voiced concern over the risk of only having two parties, prompting Sumika to inquire about the possibility of retreat. Dees deferred to Okura to make the decision, explaining that if they continued fighting, Yura's party would bear the brunt of the battle. Okura weighed their options, considering their lack of magic stone drops. However, it was their first encounter with a stampede, and the others were already fatigued. As uncertainty lingered, Noel stepped forward, expressing confidence in their ability to handle the kobold horde. With Estelle and Shua eager to unleash their magic and martial prowess, Okura was taken aback, but smiled, declaring they should press on. He urged Estelle to unleash her magic to thin the monster ranks, reminding her to give it her all. As Diaz's party moved forward, Shua expressed a desire to join the front lines, but Okura halted him, reminding him of his role as a priest. Suddenly, the kobolds looked skyward, stunned by the sight of massive fireballs hurtling towards them. The magical onslaught decimated the monsters, leaving Estelle feeling invigorated. As Diaz watched in astonishment, Okura warned him of an incoming axe-wielding kobold. Before they could react, Nor swiftly dispatched the threat, saving the day once again. Explosions echoed across the battlefield as the Cobalt Lord assessed the chaos, eventually deciding to take action. Meanwhile, Nor reminded Okura they had ventured too far ahead. Suddenly, something darted past Nor, striking Okura and sending him airborne. Panicked cries escaped Okura's lips as he soared through the sky. Sua noticed Okura's plight, prompting Estelle to take action. However, Estelle hesitated as a light approached Okura. To everyone's surprise, Nor appeared, her wings gleaming as she flew towards Okura, cradling him in her arms. With a reassuring voice, Nor instructed Okura to hold on tight as they soared through the air. McKeowe was left speechless by Nor's newfound ability to fly, while Estelle proclaimed the tide had turned in their favor. Nor's special ability, Silver Aura, granted her enhanced stats for a limited time, a skill acquired through enhancement by a duplicate. As Nor effortlessly cut through the Cobalt swarm, the Cobalt Lord continued summoning reinforcements undeterred. Nor pressed forward, carving through the monsters until she reached the Cobalt Lord. With a swift slash, she cleaved the monster in two, its body collapsing to the ground. With the battle won, Okura, now realizing his new role in supporting Nor, laughed out loud. Regrouping with the others, carrying Nor on his back, Okura noticed Deus and the rest looking on in shock. Shua, in particular, seemed to be relishing the opportunity, treating the monsters as mere punching bags. As Okura observed, he couldn't help but feel shocked at their normally reserved comrades' newfound ferocity. The Priestess, looking utterly helpless, all returned to the guild soon after and claimed the reward for the successful mission, a staggering 40 million gils in total. Okura couldn't believe his ears, and the guild employee assured him that it was a fair amount for defeating a kobold lord. Okura thought they would each receive at least 20 million gils after splitting it, but Dees refused to accept the reward. This surprised Okura, and he insisted they share it. However, Dees believed it was thanks to Yura's party that the mission succeeded, and they were just holding them back. Okura was frustrated and argued that they played their part in protecting the team from the rear. He suggested that Dees' party take half of the reward. Despite Yura's efforts to dissuade Dees, she agreed to take their share. In return, she asked Okura to stick with them for a while, leaving our protagonist feeling confused. The scene then shifted to a nearby tavern, where Dees declared the beginning of the celebration for the successful subjugation. Everyone enjoyed the drinks and food, especially Nor. Okura suggested she take it easy, but Nor, exhausted from her efforts, couldn't resist her hunger. Dees insisted they indulge since everything was covered on their tab. Grateful for Nor saving his life, Dees even offered more food. Seeing Nor devouring the food like a hungry beast, Okura gave up trying to stop her. At that moment, a tipsy Shiwa approached Okura. She mentioned how delicious the fruit wine was, but Okura declined. Shiwa then fixed her gaze on him and clung to Okura, inviting him for a drink and playfully calling him cute. Shiwa embraced him tightly, leaving Okura caught between the holy mountains. She playfully asked him what he felt, touching him. Sumika had watched the entire scene with a sad expression. She wondered if she could be like a priestess like Shiwa. Nor then warned Shiwa to stop teasing Okura, but the priestess didn't want to stop. Nor told her to look to the side and discovered an exuding killing intent toward Shiwa. The priestess quickly backed off from Okura and became sober. Okura then thanked Nor for saving him from drowning. Nor noticed that Okura hadn't eaten a lot yet and offered him some sausage. Despite getting embarrassed at first, Okura accepted the offer and Nor fed him while the two had their own sweet time. McKeowe called them over since there was a new batch of delicious meat. Upon hearing that, Nor quickly stood up to get some, and Okura couldn't help but sigh. Everyone continued enjoying their food and drinks through the night. The celebration ended with a 1.5 million gills bill. Noel was satisfied, and Dees was glad to see Noel's wonderful appetite. Okura offered to pay half of the bill, but Dees claimed it was fine since he had done something rude to Okura when they met for the first time. Meanwhile, Mikui felt sad as she said goodbye to her favorite, Estelle-chan, who had grown tired of her constant hugs. Gaze was happy to have met someone like Shizuha and hoped they would cross paths again. The energetic priestess enthusiastically agreed, and Sumika still aspired to be like Shua in both role and physical attributes. The time came for the two groups to go their separate ways, and Dees expressed gratitude to Okura for everything. Okura told them to let him know if anything happened again, and Dees assured him they could rely on each other. The two groups then waved goodbye to each other. Okura felt happy that he had become friends with Dees' party. Shizuha, however, started swaying and hugged Okura, despite being completely drunk. She cast a spell on herself and sobered up, saying it was okay to get drunk once in a while. Okura was impressed by Shua's use of recovery magic. Suddenly, Estelle sneaked up behind Shua and asked what her intention was earlier when she was clinging to Okura. Shua insisted there was nothing, but Estelle wanted a long conversation before bedtime. Blaming the effects of alcohol, Shua started running away. Okura, observing the scene, called the girls hopeless. At that moment, Yura's phone received a notification, and he was shocked by what he saw. Noel inquired about it, and Okura showed her the gacha system reward for completing the Great Subjugation. Okura and the girls returned to their lodgings, and Okura couldn't help but celebrate as the gacha system rewarded them for their recent adventure. They opened the reward box, and Okura received 50 magic stones and an SSR cost reduction item. Noel was happy to see such an item, but it only decreased the cost by 1, making it useless. Estelle then wondered who Okura would use the item for. Okura, aware of Estelle's tactics, claimed that he wouldn't be swayed and wouldn't use the item. However, Okura hadn't expected to get such an item from the gacha. Estelle wondered if there were more items besides the event, and Okura assumed that there would also be labyrinths. Okura still wondered about the principles the gacha was following. Shihawa then asked if Okura wouldn't roll the gacha, and Okura realized he had completely forgotten about it. Okura stood up and announced his gacha festival. However, he decided to do one gacha pull for each of them. The girls were surprised and felt like they couldn't trust Yura's words. Okura told them that the gacha this time was item-based, and it was okay to skip the event since it was still a special event. They needed to roll in moderation. Shihua was excited to do a gacha pull too, and Okura just realized that it was her first time, so he let her go first. Shihua's eyes widened as she used Yura's phone. She tapped on it, and a lot of items appeared. However, they were all of rare quality, and Shue was confused by the reaction of others. Okura shook his head as he sighed, and that devastated Shua. The priestess suddenly went silent and reached out once again to Yura's phone. Okura jumped in to stop her, and Shihua started whining to do another pull. It was cruel for her to end her first time like that, and she wanted to touch the phone once again. Estelle realized that Shihua was the same type as Okura and Gachis. Shihua had finally calmed down, although she was completely drunk. She cast a spell on herself and sobered up, saying it was okay to get drunk once in a while. Okura was impressed by Shua's use of recovery magic. Suddenly, Estelle sneaked up behind Shua and asked what her intention was earlier when she was clinging to Okura. Shua insisted there was nothing, but Estelle wanted a long conversation before bedtime. Blaming the effects of alcohol, Shua started running away. Okura, observing the scene, called the girls hopeless. At that moment, Yura's phone received a notification, and he was. Disappointment lingered in the air as Okura found himself even more disheartened by Shihua's reaction. Noel and Shizuha, observing his reaction, pointed out his hypocrisy, likening him to a kettle calling the pot black. Nevertheless, they pressed on. Estelle and Noel tried their luck with the gacha, joined unexpectedly by Moffat. Despite Moffat's good fortune, securing an SSR, Shizuha's frustration only grew when the rest garnered at least an SR item. Nall expressed disappointment, despite Moffat's success, and Okura, still hopeful, assured them of their usual luck with Yua results during festivals. But his confidence soon shattered as his pull yielded yet another disappointment. Nall and Shua cautioned against another pull, but Okura, undeterred, insisted, leading to an unexpected turn of events where Okura and Shua found themselves bound to chairs, much to Okura's dismay. Despite his protests, Okura's desire to try his luck again persisted, only to be met with caution from Estelle and Shua. As time passed, the two gacha enthusiasts pleaded for release, ultimately gaining freedom under the conditions set by Nall. She would be the first to inspect the gacha items, with a particular interest in a desert-themed item. The girls eagerly indulged in the random sweet treats from the gacha, while Nall, with a sweet tooth, yearned for more. However, Okura reminded them of the limit one indulgence per day. As Okura inspected the lone SSR item they obtained, a house extension, the impracticality dawned upon them without a house to extend. Estelle's proposal to buy a house was met with agreement, considering their recent earnings from subjugation. For Okura, it was a moment of realization as he gazed outside the inn's windows, reminiscing about his modest apartment in his original world, where owning a house was but a distant dream. Now, in this new world, that dream seemed attainable. Deciding to proceed with Estelle's suggestion, they ventured outside, realizing the exorbitant cost of houses in the capital. Estelle's proposition to look for a house outside the capital was met with approval, leading to plans to return to Bruna City, the first city Okura visited upon being summoned. The following day, they embarked on their journey, opting for a magic carpet instead of a carriage. Over the next few days, they camped and hunted, marking their path on the map until finally reaching Bruna City after 3 days. Shua admired the calm atmosphere, while Okura found solace in the city's familiarity, likening it to a cozy home. When they resumed their quest for a house the next day, they found an affordable option, albeit empty and in need of cleaning. Despite the challenges, they tackled the task together, albeit with a few mishaps, realizing that cleaning a house was more arduous than anticipated. Okura's attempt to use the house extension item ended in disappointment, signaling an unexpected turn in their journey toward home ownership.